With Alexander Isak's future still up in the air so close to the transfer deadline and Newcastle already splashing the cash on Nick Woltemade, the Magpies are still hunting for that ideal striker. Could Wolves' towering Norwegian Jørgen Strand Larsen be the answer? Let's dive into what makes him tick and what might hold him back. When you watch Strand Larsen, the first thing that jumps out is his sheer physical presence. At 6'4", he looks every bit the old school number 9. But the reality is his game is a mix of traditional target man qualities and modern centre forward traits. Let's break it down. So one of his strengths are his physical dominance and of course his aerial threat. He's a powerhouse in the air. At his former club Celta Vigo, he did rank high among the very best for aerial duels won, and he seemed to carry that over into the Premier League with Wolves. He doesn't just contest headers, he wins them, turning aimless long balls into attacking platforms and crosses into genuine goal chances. For a team with decent to strong wide players, he's a dream striker to aim at. Now, for all of his size, Larsen isn't just a static lump in the middle. His movement in the box is sharp, clever, and well timed. He knows how to lose defenders at the last second, darting into space to meet a cross. His shot maps back this up. He consistently gets into high XG positions, and his finishing, particularly first-time strikes, is clinical. At Wolves, he's used as a focal point when building attacks. He's excellent at receiving the ball under pressure, shielding it with his frame, and laying it off to onrushing midfielders or the wide players. That ability to knit play together means he's not just a poacher, he's also the platform for the team's attack. Unlike some big strikers who like to conserve their energy, Larsen works hard off the ball. He presses aggressively, closes down defenders, and he will help Wolves win possession high up the pitch. That's exactly the kind of intensity a manager like Eddie Howe would demand from his forwards at Newcastle. One of his biggest strengths, and this is probably something that does get a little bit underrated at times with certain transfers, is that he is Premier League proven. He's already done it in the Premier League with a team like Wolves. He's gone toe-to-toe with some of the league's toughest centre-backs and Europe's toughest centre-backs, and he's shown he can deliver. That Premier League experience makes him a safer bet than someone who might potentially be arriving from abroad. Of course, as we know, no striker is perfect unless your name is Ronaldo, the original one. And Larsen does have some clear limitations. Unlike Alexander Isak, who can, pick the ball up and glide past defenders, Larsen doesn't really create on his own. He attempts very few take-ons per game, and when he does, his success rate is quite modest. He's simply just not that type of forward. He's a player who, if he's starved of crosses and deliveries into the box, his impact can drop dramatically. He does thrive on good service, but he doesn't have many other tools to fall back on if it isn't there. Now, of course, while his hold-up play is strong, his passing stats are on the lower side compared to other strikers. He's not one for slick, intricate combination play, and he's unlikely to create big chances for his teammates. His role is about finishing moves, not orchestrating them. Another thing, just for, would I say, a note on his file, would be his consistency. At both Celta Vigo and Wolves, there have been periods where Larsen has looked unstoppable, followed by dry spells where he's just struggled to find the net. That kind of streakiness can be frustrating for both managers and fans who do try to look for someone who can be quite reliable week in, week out. And lastly, when we're looking at, some of the weaknesses, when teams like to sit deep and deny space, Larsen's game can look one-dimensional. Without open channels to attack or quality deliveries, he can just end up isolated, and Wolves have sometimes struggled to get him involved in those scenarios, something he'd probably hope and wish would change if he were to move to Newcastle. So what do we get when we weigh it all up? On the one hand, a striker who's dominant in the air, ruthless inside the box, hard-working out of possession, and is already proven in the Premier League. On the other, a player who does require service, offers little dribbling or creativity, and can be streaky in form. Put simply, Strand Larsen is the definition of a penalty box forward. He won't dazzle with flair or create magic on his own, but give him the right system, the right service, and the right teammates around him, and he'll repay you with goals, presence, and an outlet every defence in the league will hate facing. So I guess the big question would be, why exactly have Newcastle zeroed in on Jørgen Strand Larsen? The answer probably lies both in footballing fit and the transfer need. So when we look at the Alexander Isak situation, we know Liverpool have been circling. Liverpool want to sign the player wants to go to Liverpool, but of course Newcastle are standing quite firm at the time of this video. So if he does leave, Newcastle will still need to replace not just his goals, but his presence as a number 9 who can lead the line in the Premier League, and of course for the Champions League campaign that they've got coming ahead. As we know, of course already, Eddie Howe's system relies heavily on energy, pressing, and physicality up front. Larsen fits that mold perfectly. He can provide a more direct option than an Isak, winning aerial duels, bullying defenders, and giving Newcastle an outlet when they are under pressure. With players like, of course, Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, and Langia delivering crosses from the wide areas, Larsen would potentially thrive as the central target. Wolves have already rejected multiple offers from Newcastle, and they are standing firm at this current moment in time. At the time of this video, they value Larsen as a key piece of their project. Now, of course, for Strand Larsen himself, the attraction is obvious. European football, a bigger stage, and the chance to step into Isak's shoes at St. James's Park kind of does make sense, especially with the new signings like Woltemade and Langia there as well. Could be good partnership moving forward. And in short, Newcastle sees Strand Larsen as more than just a backup plan. They see him as a key piece for the next phase of their rebuild. A player who can lead the line, absorb pressure, and deliver goals, especially if their star man Isak is on the way out. Strand Larsen brings the kind of raw power, finishing, and focal aerial threat that Newcastle currently lack, especially if Isak were to leave. His blend of size, movement, and clinical instincts make him more than just a classic target man. The only roadblock, Wolves' firm stance against selling him. But if Newcastle want to avoid a striker crisis heading into the season, they may want to look at Strand Larsen because he could just be worth it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people, and we'll catch you guys real soon. Peace.